are solely the views and opinions of the source who express them. They do not necessarily reflect the opinions and the views of Trustco Group International, the broadcast regulators in Namibia, or that of the Informanté radio station. This is Informanté Radio, the sound for a new age.
Every day we bring you the hottest music.
Ultimate music
You won't believe I'm not fucking you with me.
Yo, check this out, man.
It's some outrageous conversations.
Did you know, no, Amber iets gezegd. So, are you saying Namibian men were not romantic?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Huh?
Yes.
Why? What are the values of Namibian men? Is there anything good about us?
Yeah, I'm striking up.
She is striking a blank.
You know what?
Let's get to the real thing. The mornings on Informanté Radio. The sound for a new age.
Here comes the night, we're gonna lose the light. Summer night and the time is right for the night light. There goes the day, giving way to the smile. Summer breeze and the time is right for the nightlife. I remember what the day did to me. I bear my scars to the moonlight. I walk it off, I shake it off when the night comes. Cause I belong to the night and I feel more alive with these night vibes. Just give me the night. Give me the night. Give me the night. Let me hide from the light. Give me the night. Give me the night. Give me the night. Let me hide from the lights. Hitty mbene kapiti mbena slice mbene kanoka mbene tatu mbena. Ene musagala mana mbapama momwinyo pama moshari shanje pama momeri pura mbapama. Give me the night. I remember what the day did to me. I bear my scars to the moonlight. I walk it off, I shake it off when the night comes. Cause I belong to the night and I feel more alive with these night vibes. Just give me the night. Give me the night. Give me the night. Let me hide from the light. Give me the night. Give me the night. Give me the night. Let me hide from the lights. I remember what the day did to me. I bear my scars to the moonlight. I walk it off, I shake it off when the night comes. Cause I belong to the night and I feel more alive with these night vibes. Just give me the night. Give me the night. Give me the night. Let me hide from the light. Give me the night.
Give me the night, let me hide from the light. 24 minutes past 8 is that a big band with this one. Good morning, welcome to the morning mix on Informanté Radio. As always, it is great to have you guys on board. I see a whole lot of you already joining our live stream on Informanté on Facebook. Share it, make it go viral. And this morning we will welcome a special guest. But first, let me say hi to Maria and Neville.
Moro.
Moro, hoe gaan dit?
Goed, hoe gaat dit?
Dit gaan alright, meneer Passon.
Dankie.
Hoe gaan het met jou, mevrouw Ileka?
I'm good.
Mevrou.
Is het mevrouw of mijn juffrouw?
Is
Ik
mijn
raak
juffrouw.
altijd door elkaar, man.
Ja.
Nee, vandaag is het mevrouw.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Oh. Mevrouw is married, nee?
Ja.
Ah,
ja,
okay.
ja.
You see, my Afrikaans is not too bad still. so half and half.
Maria, before we start, I just wanted to tell you, last night, there was still a certain portion of my hunting meat and products that I needed to go pick up somewhere. Okay? So some of us as guys, we congregated at a certain spot to go and get the rest of our meat and stuff.
You
that
can
we
say it
hunted.
garden in, yeah?
Kan je niet wachten nie? Hier is oorlog.
Like I was expecting to hear pharaohs. But in any case,
So yes, and the girls were sitting there waiting, and I just saw everybody's hair was like all yellow and green and what.
And purple and pink.
Toen vraag ik nog, wat gaan aan hierso? Toen zei hulle, nee, they're having a photo shoot, and I met this girl from, is it IM?
I am, yeah.
And they said, nee, Maria is op pad.
Yeah.
So did you end up there last night?
Yeah, I ended up there. I was shooting them. I got shot as well. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
shooting, getting
So
shot.
now we know.
You guys, on Manilaka Mensa, let's welcome our guest this morning. I'm sure to those of you who are watching, many of you will know this face already. It's Mr. John Walters, the Ombudsman. Good morning, sir. Welcome to the Morning Mix.
Good morning to you and good morning to the listeners and viewers, and thank you for the opportunity to have me here.
It's a pleasure to have you with us this morning, sir. Neville?
Lester, I think we need to explain to the ombudsman what is the nature of the show, because I see he sits here very professional and he's got this parliamentarian look. Okay.
Diplomacy.
Yes.
So, how do one address you if one speak to you? Do we say like
Comrade.
Do we say comrade ombudsman or honorable ombudsman, or how do the people address you?
The last time I used the word comrade and when I describe a good friend, I was attacked by a politician. Now you promote SWAPO. Please go to the dictionary. If you not have one, I will give you one, and you go see what is the meaning of comrade. It is not there. I did not see it's a SWAPO word.
Yes.
All I see it is when you describe a friend or somebody, or it's not even a person in arms necessarily. It is a friend, a good friend, which you can say, I can walk with this comrade the road. And unfortunately, it seems that, and we are under. Verkeerdelijk dink ons ook dat het net SWAPO is. Daardie woord mag gebruik.
That is I also used to think that when I was younger. I didn't like being called comrade. So,
No, I still don't.
I'm not comrade, but yeah, it is an English word, of course.
I've got a joke about it, but it's not so good. It is border on racism, so I cannot put it on air.
No, here we tell all kinds of jokes on this show. But Mr. Walters, I think it's important. Just know that this show is unlike any other show that you've appeared on. Okay? And the audience that we have here, as a klomp mal mense who watch the show. So please relax.
Thank you. I am ready.
We ask all kinds of questions, informal questions, and we normally have Maria here in the studio. She's a seasoned journalist. The crazy is between him and me. En dan bring sy bietjie orde na die huis. So the
Die mevrou.
Ja, die mevrou. So the serious questions will be asked by her, and ons sal die mal vra.
Let's jump into the conversation, I guess. Just before we get into anything, maybe you can just give us a brief overview of the mandate of your office.
Thank you. The Ombudsman Namibia, it's a unique institution. It is a constitutional office. It is included in the 1990 Constitution of Namibia. And when I use the word unique, it is not unique only in the Namibian context, the world context. I've been on all over friends and colleagues in the Ombudsman world, in the Human Rights Commission world. And this institution is unique. Why? Because we've got such a broad mandate, which no other institution, be it an Ombudsman or a Human Rights Commission, has in the world. Now, the mandate of the Ombudsman is to receive and investigate complaints relating to maladministration. That's bad administration. That is where you go apply for something and you have to wait ages before you get even an answer. I don't speak about acknowledgement of receipt there of your application. The second one is to receive and investigate complaints of violations of human rights. The third one is what we just call it in brief, because to quote what the Constitution provides, it's too long, protection of the environment. And lastly, then is what we call the remnants of the mandate of corruption. And from 1990 until 2004, that mandate lied with the Ombudsman. The Ombudsman has to investigate also complaints of matters relating to corruption and misappropriation of government public monies and misuse of property by officials. The corruption mandate has been removed to the Anti-Corruption Commission. And that is what is, remained with the Ombudsman.
Okay. Interestingly, we always hear ombudsman, and then sometimes you hear media ombudsman. How many do we have?
Good question. Yes, just very good question. In Namibia, we've only got two persons I'm carrying the title Ombudsman, and the institution is also the Ombudsman. And John Nakuta, who is the media Ombudsman. All over the world, even in South Africa and many African countries, they have what we call industry Ombudsman. The health ombudsman, the insurance ombudsman, and ombudsman for everything. You can even have an ombudsman for the Informanté. So it's just up to you. But the name was a Swedish. It is its origin in Sweden, the institution, and the ombudsman. It's also a Swedish name. It is just. In simple English and Afrikaans, say the protector of the people. But although Sweden claimed that it started 200 years in 1809, it was an institution with its roots in ancient times. The Romans had it, the Chinese had it, all over the world. Even in the Arab world, there was a person or an institution who protect the interests of the people.
Each culture probably had a different name for it, but
yes, different name.
So who funds this protector?
They fund the government. It's a government body, institution. It's funded by government.
So do you not find yourself in a situation perhaps where you're biting the hand that feeds you?
Sometimes.
No, ma'am, that is, and that may, because government funds the ombudsman, there may be a perception by people that, he's being paid by the government, and somebody already called me, he's been captured by the government. No, it's not so. It's an institution, and you have to look at the complaints, and that is what our motto on our is. The other side of the story. Every time when a person complains against government, and unfortunately people sometimes want us only to look at their side and not the side of the person of the institution complained about. So it's the same. That is why the Constitution provides that the ombudsman shall be independent and subject only to the Constitution and the law. That same provision in the Constitution, which provides for the ombudsman's independence, is exactly the same words providing for the independence of the judiciary. So the judiciary is also funded by
government.
By government.
Yes.
So
it's an independent body.
Anybody. It will be a sad day if we have to rely on donor funds.
Yes.
You said
yes.
we've received donor funds for specific projects, because government cannot. It's like education, like every other emergency. Government cannot provide for
100% of your needs.
100%, yes.
Yes. I just, maybe before we get into the details or the finer details of your day-to-day job, how many fish rod questions do you field per day?
Can you ask that question slowly again? Because I wanted to. Because
you rush over it.
I was looking at the camera now, and I was like, I know you guys are looking at the ombudsman now and saying, like, there are some, because that last word that you mentioned there, corruption, it was like, please, comrade ombudsman, we don't want to talk about corruption today, but it's inevitable.
Yeah.
Jy kan nie weghardloop nie. So Cubase just asked the question, how many fish rod questions and complaints are coming to your office on a daily basis?
Thank you.
It's the elephant in the room.
Yeah. Yes, that is true. I believe the Namibian nation has a fairly good understanding of the work of the Anti-Corruption Commission and the Ombudsman. Unfortunately, both of us are creatures of statute. Our mandate, powers, functions, and duties are in the act. We cannot move outside. Then our actions will be illegal, illegitimate. All I know about the fish rod is what I read in the newspapers, and we do not receive complaints about the fish rod. People, they will stop me in the streets or wherever I met them. What do you think about the case? And I usually say, I said on a previous occasion also to a journalist, that this case will take a long time, years, before we will have its conclusion. So there's no rush, and I cannot give you a definite answer what will happen, what will be the outcome. Then I will be speculating, and people will crucify me from that side. But all I can say to you, the end is not near. You cannot see the end of this case. We are now just busy with the bail proceedings. From the magistrate's court, there may be appeal to the High Court. There may be appeal to the Supreme Court. You understand? And then it is the investigation.
And the actual trial.
And the action trial, that will not, some of us will not be in our same position
by the time
anymore. So all I can say is, if that is true, what we read about, and I say it, if, because I believe in the other side of the story, and that is what the courts are there for, then it is a sad day for Namibia. Thinking, and I think that is the reason which anger the nation. What could have be done with that money? How many houses, how many schools, how many hospitals could we have? Clinics and all the things. And then you said, gosh, somebody must stand par for that. I don't know who it will be.
Mr. Walters, maybe just to extend the question on that. If you have a citizen like myself or Maria or Cubase would walk into your office today, because your office obviously handles all kinds of complaints. Okay. Now, as a normal citizen, if I do want to come and lay a complaint against whether it's the party, the SWAPO party. I mean, yesterday we learned that there are some allegations that the party is being implicated in this fish rod saga. If somebody would now step in your office and say, here's the proof that the party has been implicated in this fish rod saga, and say, I want to lay a complaint against the party, is that something that your office would obviously look into? Or like Maria did ask a little bit earlier, would you not bite the hand that feeds you? Because these type of questions will come through.
Thank you.
Is it the ACC?
That's what he said.
That is just to, thanks for the question. Just to make it to differentiate between the job of the Ombudsman and that of the anti-corruption. That is a matter which solely falls into the jurisdiction of the ACC. But what we will normally do, we will not just say, we will listen to your complaint, put it in writing, registered on our our case management system, but then we will inform you that it's a matter for the Anti-Corruption Commission. We will refer it to them with all your particulars, and that is what we call the power of referral. The Anti-Corruption Commission will do the same when there's a matter of maladministration. I cannot investigate private persons in regard to theft or private institutions. My mandate is maladministration against government.
Okay. How long have you been in office, Mr. Walton?
On the 1st of July this year, 16 years.
16 years.
I am, just before you said I did not appoint myself, the Constitution provides for my appointment as Ombudsman as the same as the judges of the High Court. Until age 65.
I see.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, because there has been, I mean, I've seen the ACC, Mr. No's been in office around 15, right?
Yes, and they are on contract. Their contract, both of Mr. Noah and Mrs. van der Merwe, ends at the December.
Yeah. So, yeah, I saw some, I mean, there was a time when with the youth protest to the ACC's office, they said, well, 15 years is a long time to be in one position. And realistically, shouldn't we be changing leadership to bring in fresh ideas, fresh insight? So what do you say when people say, well, 16 years, Mr. Walters, is not too long?
I agree with you. That is what I said. Next year is my last year now. Where I'm now home run.
Final stretch.
Home run now. I've said it, and my international body to which the Ombudsman belongs, that is the Global Alliance of National Human Rights Institutions, already has a criticism against the lifetime appointment of the Ombudsman. It should be terms. In South Africa, they got a 7-year term, not renewable. Other countries got a 5-year renewable for the chairperson of the commission. But unfortunately, this is a constitutional provision. The recommendation from my international body, I sent it to the then Minister of Justice, because we are busy. 4 or 5 years ago, we started with an amendment or a new act for the Ombudsman, and I suggest that also that there must be a term, but it's unfortunately a constitutional provision, and I would recommend it that the Ombudsman should have a term of 2 years or 5 years term. But then somebody will say, but now you are selfish. You enjoyed a lifetime of Ombudsman. Now you want other people.
Yeah, so you're put in a rock and a hard place.
Yes, we're not going to hard place. And then my defense will be, you don't crap in your constitution for everything. You leave them like that. But that is a matter which should be considered by the authorities to make it either like South Africa, 7 years. But I would love it, 7 years, and then you get a packet of skate pucky.
A golden handshake.
For 7 million.
Golden handshake.
Of 7 million.
Yes, of 7
But that is for the pension. It's not belonging to a pension fund.
Yes, I wanna wrap my head around the I mean, some people think it's just maybe you and one receptionist answering the phones in your office. So I just want to wrap my head around the workings of your work.
Yes.
When somebody brings you a complaint, typically what happens? Do you have like your own team of investigators? And once you found, let's say, the complaint is validated, then what processes then take place?
We have 5 regional offices. When I was appointed in 2004, there was already plans in place by my predecessor Beans to establish regional office, but funds was always not there. So we have regional offices because the only what you told the people at that time, only Windhoek-based citizens have the right to walk into the Ombudsman, and not. So we established that. So that is in all our offices, the regional and head office. You don't need to make an appointment. You walk in as soon as that. Let me just interrupt myself. The Ombudsman is supported or assisted by public officials. I do not have the power in terms of my legislation to recruit my own staff and appoint my own staff. But that may change in the new act. So I'm supported with them. We call them a complaints investigator. As soon as they enter the office, now with the protocols of
COVID-19,
they will send them up to a available investigator, who we call the complaint intake. He will take that complaint immediately for person in writing, whatever, and then he will lock it. What do you call? I'm not very good in computer language.
It's not Windows.
He will
95.
capture it on the computerized system. He will get a number, and then he will investigate and inform the person of the outcome of the investigation. If it is a matter which falls a little bit
outside your
a complex one, and they will always refer it to me, and then I would look into it. So that is it. When we receive it in writing, it is also booked out to an investigator. He will lock it and capture it on the computer, and we have a dual system, the computerized system and the file system. So that is what, and we will, sometimes it takes extremely long, and people are justified to get angry with us, frustrated with us. But again, let me again refer to our motto, the other side of the story. We have to ask Neville, that is a complaint against you. We'll give you the opportunity to tell us your side, and then we will look into the facts and the law and make our determination. But unfortunately, as the general citizens, that is why they complain to the Ombudsman, because they do not get satisfaction at the point of the origin of that complaint, in whichever ministry. And then we take for us. I am busy now to look into the history of the Ombudsman, and the best place to look is into the annual reports of the Ombudsman. Pio Teague was the first acting Ombudsman in 1919. He complained about the slow or non-responsiveness of public officials and institutions, especially PSS, as it was called then, now executive. I have to use my power of subpoena to call them to me. So that is frustrating. But we manage average every year to resolve around about 80% of our complaints. I've counted it while I'm busy now with for the past 30 years, we have received round about 55,000 complaints in all forms. You see, people said, "What is it? Just a number?" I said, "Numbers matter."
Yes.
Because it's not just a complaint. It means that more than 55,000 people, directly or indirectly, were assisted by the Ombudsman. And we will never just show a complaint at the door. We will listen to him and say to him, we cannot assist you, go to that. We went so far and are still doing, we help complainants to fill out a application for legal aid.
All right. What does a resolution look like? You say you've helped people resolve. What does a resolution like? And then also, I know, but maybe for the clarity of, do you have the mandate, like the ACC, to make arrests?
No. That is the Ombudsman have not strong enforcement powers. I can only make recommendations. And if my recommendations are not followed or implemented, then I can take their matters to court to compel persons. But the last resort of last enforcement power of the Ombudsman is the National Assembly. That is why the Act requires the Ombudsman to file an annual report. But the Act is silent. What must National Assembly do with the report? But it stands to reason that they have to consider, review it, consider it, debate it, and then say to the Ombudsman, "We think you are not doing your job," or these, and they must then enforce my recommendations or assist me. But sadly to say, but that is the reality. In the past, I'm now just yesterday I filed my 2019 report. I was never called to account for what I've done with public monies, and the report is received.
That's really good.
It's received in somewhere there in the library.
Either you're really good at your job or somebody's really bad at this.
I complain. And you know that last year when Mr. Vanani attacked me that I'm being captured by the government, I said to him, but that is not real or true. But let me just counter what I said. Parliament fails the ombudsman. And I can justify and tell him. And I told him why Parliament fails me. You did not consider my report. You did not ask one question in the National Assembly for the past 15 years when I was an ombudsman. Are the ombudsman sufficiently, appropriately resourced to effectively doing a job? I'm sitting there with a complaint that I received yesterday. Man, he said, in terms of Article 25, you must give me legal assistance. I want to sue the government. You can look at the annual report. What is my budget? It's 18 million. 16 million is for personnel expenses and the others. When I need money to take a matter to court, I have to ask my line Ministry of Justice. You have to pay it. Okay. You understand? So I haven't got much power. Then if I have to take matters to court, you cannot understand. I cannot be every day in court. That is not the job what I have to. I have to instruct private lawyers and relying on them to take the matters to court. In the past, we were successful in order to get the required results, but I'm struggling now with my colleagues in the private sector to take the matters as quickly as possible to the court.
Yeah. Can I?
Can you?
You say you spoke about being in the final stretch of being ombudsman. If you retire today and you look back in the 16, 17, I don't know how long it will be by the time you retire, what will particularly stand out? Something that you can really say, I'm proud of this, I really put my teeth into this, and this will be something I will be very pleased with for years to come. Your legacy. Your legacy. What
that is, I've said that was the most satisfying job I have ever done. Not that I have many jobs. I came from the very accusatorial court processes, and that is a prosecution. And thereafter I was a magistrate, and so I have no record of a human rights activist. I was in 1976, second year at UWC when the Soweto uprising started. So what would my say to them? That I can wake up in the morning by God's grace, can go to the office and wait for somebody to complain, and I can change that person's circumstances. How little it may be for me, but how great it is for that person. Then that is the only legacy I can leave in, because we are a individual complaint handling mechanism. Just to give you an example, a person complained to a politician. He brought the matter to me some years ago. Mr. X was claimed, and he had a birth certificate. I was born in Warmbad, Karasburg district. I applied for a ID, but on my old cop card, they put in Warmbad RSA, you know, now Bella Bella. And the Home Affairs refused to provide him with an ID. But they issued him with a breach birth certificate. We took up the matter and resolved it, and that they acknowledged that he was born in Warmbad. He was 60 odd years and older than 60 years. He wanted to access old age pension, you know. And during December holiday, he phoned me. And he said, "Thank you, Mr. Walters. Dankie, ek het my ID gekry." Ek sê, "Jy moet nie die bedankie, ek het nie die werk gedoen. Just a recommendation. Just express your gratitude to the investigator." And he said, "No, I will do better. I will write something in the newspapers." Now, I'm not doing the job to be praised and to be thanked. It's just that we can change the circumstance. But unfortunately, the public administration is not always wrong. And that is, we are not the advocate for the government or for the government institutions of the complainant, but the complainants are close to our hearts because they've running all over the city, all over the country, on all over institutions. Last resort is the ombudsman. You understand? And then the ombudsman said, sorry, I cannot help you.
Mr. Walters, I just want to find out, like, as you mentioned, some other countries have what you termed industry ombudsman.
Yes.
Do you think that is something that we as a country should look at? I just want to give you the example of the video that was circulating on social media a couple of days ago of the employee who was assaulted in their workplace by somebody and their partner. I mean, should that be something that should have an... I mean, because you said you do not investigate private institutions.
No, yeah.
So should we have industry ombudsman to deal with stuff like
only
that?
Only as far as maladministration is concerned. When it's an issue of human rights, private enterprises and private persons falls into the jurisdiction of the ombudsman. This is a matter where it's a criminal matter. It's firstly, the police have to investigate it, and then the person is entitled to sue the individual for damages, whatever. You understand? But if you, I am not on social media, but it's sad that while we are the number of domestic violence cases is growing day by day, that is still happening in our country. And I've looked into it, and I'm still busy looking at them to see what are the main causes, the root. I cannot. And despite the act, despite all the interventions of government and civil society, it's still growing and growing. I've came to the conclusion that we do not groom gentlemen. Our children, they do not know that you have to open the door for a lady. And that is what is lacking in our education system, is human rights education and tolerance education. We are an intolerant nation, and that is why we
end up with situations like
the high number of human rights, domestic violence cases, because we are intolerant of what our ladies tell us. But you are wrong, and we don't want to hear that. Amen. Is that correct?
As I believe.
Correct, very correct.
Yes, as I believe. Let's dive into a couple of comments. Unless you guys want to throw something else at Mr. Walters.
Please, do the comments.
All right. Okay, let me come to the bottom. Let's get the newest ones out first. Okay, you guys are having conversations with each other, which kind of confuses me. Simon Amushira, the way I see ombudsmen do not have powers, just the office.
The ombudsman is just a power.
It's just an office, doesn't have power. Tender number, morning, Mr. Walters. If I had a court case that was handled unfair by the judge, can I come to the office of the ombudsman?
Let's start with that one. The ombudsman has no jurisdiction or power to investigate court proceedings and judgments. That is where we have the appeal system. I can help him to obtain legal aid in order to prosecute his appeal. That is how I can, but I cannot criticize. I can maybe view my or air my views on a judgment, but you understand. But I cannot interfere in that.
All right. Here's another interesting question. It has actually been thrown at a couple of our other guests as well. Can the ombudsman look into salary inequalities in private companies?
Yes, I can. If that is a matter of discrimination. And it seems that but the word inequality is a synonym to discrimination. Yeah, I can look into that.
Okay. Yes, you can call Mr. Walters with your problem. Let's see what else is here that we can bite on. Okay, that is a reply. Oh, guys, man. Jokobal Awa. Good evening to you all, friends. Oh,
Good
my
evening.
goodness. Yeah.
Maybe wherever he is, it's it's evening.
Yeah, because we have a lot of people from all over the world watching
yeah.
the show.
Okay,
so,
yeah.
so
It may be
obviously
in
different
Japan.
In a different time zone, yes.
Australia.
Australia.
VK Kamati, if you, Mr. Walters, was to go on retirement today, what legacy would you say? Yes, I was able to have this done. And you can also make mistakes as a normal human being. So what would you say are your regrets or failures since you assumed the command of Office of Ombudsman?
I cannot think about failure. All what I said, I've only regrets that we cannot always, in all circumstances, assist or find in favor of the complainants.
Yeah.
That is the only regret I have. But that is because I've already stated the other side of the story may be correct and the complainant may not be correct, her allegations, and then we have to find in favor of the institutions. That is the only regret I have. I have no other regrets. I have not even a regret that people call me names. Because my son always said to me, "Don't cry. You want to be the ombudsman, so take it." So that is so. Tell the gentleman, history will judge me. I cannot say what legacy I will leave behind. That is for history, and only history can judge me. And those who want to measure me, you can only measure the ombudsman through the performance of the ombudsman. Can only be formed by those who actually read the Ombudsman's annual report. In that report, you will find everything what I've done for the previous year, how I spent government money, and how I went outside my statutory duties to help persons. I have no duty to promote human rights. No duty, but it is an assumed duty flowing from my mandate to investigate human rights violations. I have no duty to investigate a case mero moto, out of own motion. There's no provision in the current act, but I've done it on many occasions. That is the one. The typical one was the one of the 4-year-old child boy who was assaulted and killed by a fellow inmate in the Vanaheda police cells. I've read it in the newspaper.
True.
And we read in the newspaper about sewage flowing all over in towns, and even here in Windhoek, we take it out of own motion.
Yes.
Last year I drove to Van der Bijl school, and I saw it.
Moses van der
And Clemens Kapoor Street, I seen the sewage was flowing, and I call it like a river, and I took it up with the CEO of City, and they repaired it.
That's actually the next question I wanted to ask. I wanted to ask if I mean, for your office to take up an issue, or does it have to be a complaint from somebody coming in, or can you pick up on something, let's say, for instance, in the news or in the newspapers or wherever, and then run after it?
I've partly answered that question.
Yeah.
The Act specifically said, receive and investigate a complaint. There's no, but let me just share with you something I've read in the Hansard. That is the records of the National Assembly. During 1990, when they discussed the Ombudsman Act, the late Moses Kachonga said, and he was the one who proposed that the Ombudsman must have the power to look into issues out of own motions when he pick it up, whatever. It was not took up in the Act because he failed to comply with the procedures of National Assembly. But he said that here's the last word, and he said to me, years from now on, people will come to me and said, the powers you want, the teeth you want to give the Ombudsman lie are lost in the sands of the Namib Desert.
Yes.
That is what I pick it up in the Hansard. It's true. I quote it. That is it's true. That is what the ombudsman. But actually, we moved on with it. We worked through with the act all this year. But there was a time that we said no, and I'm fighting for this a new ombudsman act for the. Not as a legacy of the Ombudsman John Walters, but to make the work easier for my successor.
Okay. A few more comments. Tate Nyanga, how far are you in procurement board investigation issue?
Okay.
And Stephanus James Ananias is saying, growing up, I always thought Ombudsman was Mr. Walters' name, like Ombudsman.
That is a good one. I will comment on that too.
Ombudsman.
To the person, the first one, how far are we? As I said, I'm being assisted by complaints investigators. It's assigned to me. They were still busy to get some information from the institution in order to provide me with the file so that I can write the report. And such matters, I write a report on what we have wrong, what was wrong, what was not complied with, and then make my recommendation in regard to these appointments. Yes, I've been called many names, and one was my street kids. I call her, and they saw me one day in the car, and they said, Ombudsman. Ombudsman. Yes, so that is the name. But people sometimes say Ombudsman. Ombudsman.
Okay, let's look for a couple more. Can the ombudsman perhaps, or is the ombudsman perhaps able to look into the way properties are sold, especially houses? Don't they have power to regulate those prices to the affordable ones, maybe in all sectors, private and government?
No, the ombudsman cannot. What I wanted to suggest, and I hope the legislation will be soon promulgated, is consumer protection.
Yeah.
Legislation. That is what we need. I cannot assist persons which has been shortchanged by businesses. Wat jy koop 'n kar en hulle gee voor hulle is 'n 2005 model, but actually it was a 2000 model.
Yeah.
And then you come, where do you have to complain? And honest, and that I've received that kind of complaints, and sadly I could not help the person.
Okay. This one is I think more opinion from Boba van Wyk. Mr. Walters, are you happy with the way in which the government is currently handling the reconciliation issue in Parliament?
I'm expressing my own view, but I have not a personal view.
Yeah.
When I speak as a ombudsman, and when I speak as John Walters is a synonym. And it's the answer which the persons who introduced the motion received, but it will open old wounds. My question is, so what? Let us, if that can cure the old wounds, why not?
Yeah.
I always say to the people, as die galg daar een hand is by, if it can contribute the removal of it, contribute to to healing of the old wounds, let remove it.
Yeah.
I always said in the sports fraternity, and I'm a lover of the game rugby, and I said to my South African friends, and said, if the springbok on the jerseys of the South African team, the removal thereof can heal the old wounds of the past, why not?
Yeah.
Why should we cling to it, to things which will only divide us?
Yeah.
But it's always sad to me, you know, the galg was opgerig, soos my understanding, in the years when white beaches was only for white people. The beaches was exclusively for white.
I'm glad beaches is in verswem, ne? Mense, please.
No, there was not. We cannot swim the beaches. In the apartheid years, there was no. There was. I don't think there were segregated beaches. Do you think that the old time you can have at the Strand Hotel?
Yeah.
You can move in there. No, you were prohibited for that.
Yeah.
So that is my comment on that you said.
And maybe just to add to what you say, Mr. Walters, and I think Germany is a good example. Everybody keeps on saying, we need to preserve history, and for the sake of history, that is why the Galgtou in Antis Bay needs to be there, etc., etc. I think what Germany has done, there's no artifacts of the SS, of the Sturmtruppe, or the Nazi Party, or Hitler in the streets of Berlin.
Yeah, denazification.
Everything was removed. I mean, would anybody wants to say that, it would have been okay for Germany to keep them? Of course, Germany took the decision to remove all of that. So, and it's on that same principle that we say, if there are things, like you do rightfully say, that's sensitive to certain people, let's address it.
And remove it.
Yeah.
If we remove selectively, die perd. En wat nog is er zo goed wordt, François? Is
Right,
dat
I can think.
dus if that is the removal that could heal the past, of the wounds of the past?
Kurt van Francois is still there, huh?
Yes, I
He's
think
still
so.
there.
I've
still there.
Luderitz
But
is
you
still there.
Adolf Luderitz.
ja, maar jy gaan mos baie by die hotel, so jy ry elke dag daar verby. So jy
True.
I don't think there are any more pertinent issues that we need to touch on as far as the comments go. So maybe we can just a couple of last parting remarks.
No, I'm
Are you done? Famous last words. Bootsman.
No, I think for me, Mr. Walters, also for my education, it was good to listen to you and to hear exactly what your mandate is, and surprisingly, I hear this is you in the home stretch now.
Yes.
And I think when I spoke to you about a day or two ago, you told me that this institution has been in place now for the last 30 years. In fact, you're going to be celebrating on the 23rd of July, you'll be celebrating 30 years of the office of the Ombudsman. So all the best going forward. And I believe the conversation that we had would be extremely valuable to our listeners out there and to the public at large.
Thank you, Neville. Just to comment on the 30th anniversary, I'm busy to draft a commemorative book, but I'm not a writer. That I must give it to somebody who can put it in a narrative. But I want to pay tribute to my predecessors. In 1990, a pure Teague walked into an office where there was only one person remaining from the old ombudsman of Southwest Africa in the building next to the Bank of Namibia. They was called in Ludwig Street. It was erected in 1906 to house German officers. That is the building. I just want to pay tribute. And I said to my colleagues a day or two ago that 23rd of July, as 9 February is called Constitution Day, 23rd of July will be Ombudsman Day. And unfortunately, it falls on a Thursday, but I declare the Friday a public holiday for my staff, not for everybody else, just to celebrate these. But in conclusion, thank you for the opportunity. It's not, especially if we got I told you about my budget. When I get opportunities like this to share the ombudsman's functions and duties to the citizens of Namibia, and they are always welcome. Our doors are open for them, and if you cannot, you can come with any problem to us. If it falls outside our mandate, we will refer to you to the institution best suited to serve you. But otherwise, we will address it. But let me also wish you well in your endeavors to educate, inform, and strengthen the education of the people of Namibia. Because without the radio, we will be much so poorer. That is the best vehicle to convey and educate those in the rural areas who do not have the opportunity of the luxuries of TVs and all that. And that is the best tool to disseminate information to them. And thank you for doing that too.
Thank you very much,
Thanks
Mr.
for being
Walters.
here.
And since 30 is a milestone year.
Ja, it's a milestone.
So maybe there's a big party coming.
Ja, ons sal kom.
No.
Ons sal kom.
Well, ek wil net 'n disclaimer gooi van Mr. Walters. Is 'n MC, is 'n photographer and a DJ.
In combined,
Yes.
one in three. I will put it in. Your invitation is on.
Ek sal die quotasie stuur vir die ombudsman. I'll make it a joint quotation because he told us what his budget is, so we'll just work it in there.
Yeah. Right, thank you very much. Yeah.
I'll walk the ombudsman out
Yes.
and then you
And
guys...
we'll just quickly do
Yeah.
there's
A wrap-up.
There's a news update actually.
Okay.
Ja, is reg.
Sal jy met jou voete stuur?
Wag, kom ek neem sommer hier.
Dan stuur jy vir my net, ja. Maar jy moet neem, jy moet saam met my.
Okay.
Please.
Yes.
For the annual report. My last annual report, yes.
I also want to be in here. Okay, we're
Okay,
taking
sorry
a picture.
guys, just bear with us while we take a picture.
Don't worry, we are still talking. Let me play a song. In the meantime,
Yeah, man. Somebody told me beauty and brains don't always get along. But god damn it, my girlfriend is a different case. Swear to God. Hey yo, Neslo, help me talk to my girl, dog. Baby, this is for you. Shout out to everybody in love. Samili, Young, Neslo.
I will never let you go, my baby. Wherever you go, I will follow. I need you by my side tonight. So baby, come close and hold me.
that's the longest photo.
I will never let you go.
It's the longest photo I've ever taken. Even my computer is doing its own things. Why are you laughing at me? You're looking at me, getting confused here by all the
very
different notes.
disorientated.
Yeah.
I wanted to say that this news just came in that the man who brutally assaulted the Pick n Pay employees was this morning arrested at his Simabasia home. He's set to appear in the Windhoek Magistrates Court today. We will obviously be attending that, and we will have his name for you. His
Definitely.
name for you. Sorry, guys, I'm practicing my MTC.
Oh yeah, you're almost gonna be singing. Have you decided which song you're gonna sing?
No, I want you guys to be surprised.
I should go through Vaughn's library and try and figure out what it is that you're going to sing. But it's going to be interesting because even in the comments here, back to the court case. Oh,
I'm missing the Chakani concert. Thank you.
I did say.
Yeah, you're saying?
Not even like that.
No, that's fine. But why do you want it there?
Because I want to hear something else in the background. I'm feeling like. No, I'm saying, yeah, but I see some comments here. There was somebody, I was trying to avoid some of the comments, of course, as I was sifting through to see what we can actually discuss with the ombudsman. But there was a lot of, but the lady did this first and the lady did that first. You know, that narrative of basically,
shifting blame.
Yeah, she asked for it,
Well,
basically,
she
is what they're
shifting
trying
blame.
to say, yes.
I was listening to somebody on one of the radio stations yesterday on my way home, and he, you know, there was a discussion about this. Actually, it was lunchtime. It was a discussion on this. It was Eagle FM, I'll say it. And it was Alvaro's show, and people were calling in. And there were a lot of, I would say, highly upsetting opinions, but they're in society nonetheless. Where guys were saying, yeah, but we cannot blame the guy. We must first find out what the woman did. Why did she do that? No man will just beat a woman like that. She must have done something. She must have provoked. Women must also know not to provoke men. We don't do this. This general opinions. But then a gentleman who, as you would think, he doesn't have the best English, you know. So you can clearly see he's from the north, or hear that he's clearly from the north. But that man probably expressed himself better than I've ever heard anybody. The man just called and he was just like, stop, this is nonsense, you know. We cannot continue to think like this. This is why it's not going away.
Yes.
This is why it's not going away, because there's always a reason for it. And as long as we'll always find a reason for it, you can't say you are anti-violence
you
or
can't hit women except when, or except
where
if.
do you draw the line?
No.
So he was, like I said, not the best English, but the most, I would say, the most solid argument I've had. And he was just saying, like, let's stop. We cannot. And you cannot always think about it. He says, men like to ask, what if it was your sister? What if it's your brother? He said, let's stop doing that, because what we are saying is only our family deserves protection.
Yes.
And
everybody else can get whatever
everybody
they get.
else can get that. He says there's never justification. And I mean, I don't remember everything he said verbatim, but it was a very, and it was that. And I think it's realizing, he said, it's that realizing that we have a really sick culture. We do. We have a very, very sick culture, and we will not overcome and get the help we need if we don't at least admit that. Let's at least admit, even if you sitting at home and can or want to justify violence, at least take the time to think and reflect and say, why do I think like that? Do I need help? Because it's not normal. I'm sorry. Nowhere ever in the world is it normal to lay hands on anybody that upsets you in any situation.
That toxic kind of thinking, is like even the ombudsman was alluding to, is why we're sitting with this GBV problem in this country that's just not going away.
Yeah, we're intolerant.
Yes. I'm still struggling to see how some people are justifying that. Like, I don't care what that person had said, right? Because once you do that, then you've already stepped outside the law.
Yeah.
You've taken the law into your own hands. You're actually a criminal.
Yeah.
That is what it is.
Yeah, you are criminal.
Whether that was even if that was a guy, I mean, it's even worse because it's a lady, but even if that was a guy, it would still be wrong, irregardless of what that guy had said to him.
Yeah. And but I just say, it's like, if there is help, and I mean this, I'm saying this in a very sincere way. I'm not saying it to be condescending. If you think that any type of violence against, especially women, not only against women, but especially women, is justifiable, please go seek help. And I'm not saying this in a condescending tone. You might find that there is something there in your life that has happened, that has triggered those opinions. Because it's not a normal opinion. I'm sorry, guys, but it's not in a normal, functioning, healthy-minded, emotional, intact human being, grown human being, can never look at that video and think why it can be justified, or why it happened, or why it's okay for it to have happened. Even if it's she saw his mother, or she saw him, or she called him names, even if that's what it is, because there are ways to resolve that too, that are not physical. The physical cannot be the end conclusion. But in any event, I see somebody asked, was the woman also arrested? We're not aware that the woman was arrested, but this is what's interesting about it, right? The partner went to go lodge a case against the Pick and Pay employee. Yeah, I don't think they knew at the time there was a video. I think they were just preempting to cover
their tracks.
Cover their tracks. So I think the Sunday after the assault, she went to the police station and lodged a complaint that a Pick and Pay staff member had attacked her. And the boyfriend also then gave his statement as her witness. Obviously, this was before the video came to light.
Out,
But that's how they were also able to identify him from that report, because there was a case made against that Pick and Pay employee. But it just shows you just how conniving society is. What if there was no video evidence?
Then
what if it would have been their word against
hers?
And yes, and this woman is saying, like, this woman in the shop just attacked me. I saw how that woman came into the shot. The guy threw something and she threw something at the girl, and the girl
threw it back.
Yeah, the girl threw
something back.
Something back, and then the guy came around, and even she came around to beat the woman. So I did not see a single, even a hit on her from that woman. So it's funny how society is, but you see, if we had not even seen the video, I'm sure if you always tried to justify, somebody would have been like, again, would have taken that woman's side. So let's see. I hope she gets arrested too. She should. And yeah, like we'll keep you updated as the day goes by.
Yeah, she definitely did not paint herself in the most flattering picture in
Not
that
at all.
situation.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
We're going to keep you updated. Of course, you can keep coming back to Informanté's Facebook page for all your news updates, not just on this story, but everything else that is happening in and around in Namibia. There was a comment from Bradley Kubisep. The segregation of beaches was unfair, Mr. Ombudsman. Mavutus should not be segregated. And he didn't get it when you said it.
No, he didn't actually.
Yeah.
So there's Peter saying, Maria, please withdraw that.
I saw that.
What you said, that the gentleman is from the north, please. I can't withdraw it. That's what he said. When you call in, they say, wait, I'm not going to say his town because I don't
know where, but
No, I know where, but I don't want to put it on it. It's not important. But they ask you, where are you calling from? And this guy specifically said a town in the north. This is not, this is not one of those situations. He called from the north. And it's not an insult. I'm from the north. When has being from the north ever been an insult or something that needs to be apologized for? There's absolutely nothing wrong with it, Anyway, he had a solid argument. That's the point I was making. He had a very, very solid argument. And like I said, it's one of the best arguments I've heard in a very long time. But you wouldn't expect it because people mostly think like those opinions only come from like highly educated, polished English, university. I mean, I don't know this man's educational background, but I'm just saying you wouldn't like...
But his accent will tell you he's from the north.
Yes,
you can tell a Herero accent, you can tell a Bambo accent, a Tamara accent.
Yes, but also like just typically when we hear like that type of accent, it's usually attached to a very... anti-woman...
unintelligent.
No, I wouldn't call it unintelligent. I'm just saying the cultural is like this. It's usually very anti-woman opinions. Like, like what... I'm from the north, so I grew up listening to these things. Like, what did she do? So when he came on radio, I was anticipating that argument, But he really blew me away with just how... First of all, he was just irritated that everybody was justifying this, but just how he argued it, like, I was very, very impressed. I would like to have a full conversation with that man because I was really impressed with his opinion.
This is interesting. Renata Benz is saying, why must she be arrested, the partner? Stop these idiotic comments. The guy is guilty. Full stop.
No, he should be arrested, but she participated and she also attacked the woman. I need you to look at that video and tell me that woman did not participate. She participated as well and she assaulted the woman as well, not just a bystander. She literally came also across and also hit the woman. She's a participant. So, I don't know. Did we see the same video? Did we see?
Yeah.
I'm actually perplexed by that question because it's almost like we didn't see the same video.
They thought you were talking about the Pick and Pay woman.
No. We're not talking about the Pick and Pay woman. She's the victim in all of this.
Yes, we're talking about the
we're talking about the assailant's partner, the second woman. So okay. Oh, is that why? Yeah. No. Please don't get it wrong. We're not saying the Pick and Pay woman is the victim. She shouldn't be arrested. We're not talking about it. We're talking about there were two people in the video that attacked her. It was a man and seemingly his partner. That's the one that we're saying should be arrested. So just for that clarity.
Right. Yeah. You guys can keep the conversation going in the comment section with each other. Maybe we will chip in during the course of the day, but this is officially our time. We got to get out of here. We're going to be back again tomorrow. Tomorrow is Friday, ne? Tomorrow's Friday, right?
Is it?
Yeah.
You're the week.
Maria? What is happening in your life that you even can... Oh, you guys were come at Garden Inn yesterday because I saw a comment here of something about now I only have to meet Cubase. I had so much fun with Maria and Uncle Neville. It was nice seeing you. What's that comment now? Ach man, in elk geval is daar iewers. Yeah, so we're out, guys. Enjoy the rest of the day. Don't forget, 12 to 1. Today is Thursday, so Meneer Dirk Kleinschmidt is going to be joining you on Informanté Radio. That stream is going to be on Informanté Radio's Facebook page as well.
Peace out.
Peace.
This is Informanté Radio, the sound for a new age.